Welcome to our first tactic test video. So, something I want to be starting to do on the channel, we're definitely going to be doing these as we're going to be doing some rebuilds now as well. So you guys are going to get our tactics first. So Tuesday will be Tactic Tuesday, and you guys will get to see the tactics that we're going to use for our rebuilds that are coming to come out on the weekend. So I hope you guys are excited to see it. This is our first tactic video ever. This is nothing too special tactic-wise for me. It was something that I was just trying to experiment with. I was looking at a tactic that I used a lot last year for my ammonia save and wanted to develop something with a similar idea as well as the Red Bulls one. I think it probably more represents the Red Bull tactic really, but it's a bit of an amalgamation of the two, mostly I'd say, of something along those lines that I really tried to create and come up with a good understanding of. And this is what I've made. So we've done the tactic to test today with three sides. One very important to my heart, AC Milan. The other, actually kind of important to me, would tend to be the French team I support in Montpellier, as well as Almería as our final one. So three kind of varying teams. If we take a look at my little post-it note of information, Milan were 3rd place, predicted. Almería were 19th, and Montpellier were 10th. So a good mix of where they're supposed to be finishing in the league and all of those things. So that's the idea. Those are the teams we're going to go through. But first, we're going to hop over to the tactics board, and we're going to take a look at how this tactic's supposed to work, how it's supposed to play, and what are some of the key parts of it. So, here is our tactic. It is a 4-2-3-1, as I mentioned before, and this is how we want to set it. It has different elements to different sides, from Red Bulls to ammonia from last year, as well as some stuff from the AC Milan sides the Pioli uses. As much as I think he is a bit of a bald-headed buffoon, there are some elements of that in this side. Now, first, I think one of the big things I want to talk about is defensively what we're going to look to do. Now, when it comes to this team, one of the big things is high pressing. I want to really focus on that because one of the big things I want to do is focus on counter pressing, because when I want to attack, I want to attack using direct runners, people attacking at the opposition, driving at them. And if they do lose the ball, since they are encouraged to drive at people, we need to be able to deal with that properly. And that's done through counter pressing. So that's going to be the one big principle of this, is a high line with a very high intensity counter press on it. You'll find that's a big attribute I tend to have for a lot of my tactics, because I really like that style of play. But with that being said, and besides my own personal bias, which you can probably start to see in some of my tactics, as this series will continue, that's one of the big things I wanted to focus on with this. It's a big reason why we have pressing forward, a big reason why we don't have two ball-playing defenders, and it's why we have a sweep keeper on support who's going to be pushing the line higher up and helping us sweep up some of those things where he's not going to be sitting off as much. Now, with that being said, when we are in the attacking phase and do lose the ball, we're going to have a certain setup that I hope we do achieve. Now, I think first let's talk about the attacking setup and how we then get to that point, and then I'll go further into how our pressing structure should occur and how we defend those opportunities. I think first we'll talk about is in possession. So we have our little soccer ball here. So one of the big things that I want to focus on this team when we're in possession is playing through some lines here. So one of the big things is when we are in possession, I want certain things to happen. So when we're in possession, I want these guys to get wide immediately. They are encouraged to go wide very quickly and offer support. Obviously, our keeper is going to be a little higher up. This guy's going to be looking to find space. He's going to be chilling here. He's going to be wide as well. Same with this guy. They're going to go very wide. And this guy's job is to move into channels here. So he's going to shift into one of these two when we have possession. Now, if he'll shift into one, I'm hoping kind of like, say, here, the deep line playmaker gets more room. Maybe he's going to drop in here. He sits here, then he moves into this channel. So it's gonna depend, but my idea is to kind of almost have like a staggered 4-3-3 when we're in this looking to build possession. So the first ball, we want to go right to our ball playing defender. Now from this, I want him to have two separate options. I want him to have into the 6, who is our deep lying playmaker, or out wide to the wingback on attack. This is the reason that this guy's on the left side of the central midfield and this guy's on the right, because this is important since it's going to give us two avenues here. Now, on top of that, he should have two others in terms of two backwards options, as well as a direct option forward, who these two here are really supposed to be kind of decoys for me. I want them to be pressed. I want people to focus on them, but in reality, we only have two targets here. It's our deep lying playmaker and our wingback. Those are the ones that I really want to focus on us targeting and going after. So hopefully, if he goes to our wing back here, these two will then come down the line. They'll come down the line to carry this, where our winger will stay wide. Now my hope is that he plays the ball to the winger, who then drives inside. Because that's his instructions, drive inside, and then he helps on the overlap. Now, if he's overlapped, everyone's going to come forward here, so give me a moment while I bring players forwards. My hope when he goes forwards is this guy here is going to help cover this space. My winger is now going to drive inside with the ball. My 10 has picked up a spot in this channel or this channel here. And thanks to that, so this guy's going to come inside a little more. Thanks to that, he'll be more central. This guy will be pushing the line here. And he'll be in one of these two channels. Now, if he's in this right channel here, I want to look for these guys to possibly do a 1-2, pass in here, move, plays him in. He then can cut it across to the forward or the pressing forward and the inside forward for a tap in. Or if he's in this left, or on top of that, he can then play wide to the wing back, who's gone wide this way. Now, the other idea is that if we are here and say he's gone into this opposite channel, is my winger can drive forwards. Well, if he can drive all the way inside, boom, that's great. But if he's forced to go back outside, our wing back is overlapping. Boom, out here, we can get a cross in. So that's kind of the ideas I'm looking for when you go down the right, are the winger driving inside, the wing back overlapping, and the winger being able to use the 10 as a wall pass to get through, or being able to feed back out wide for us to then get a cross in to the box to one of these two players on the back post, or someone at the top of the box, or these guys here for cutbacks. Now, when it comes to attacking, obviously we want our structure to look like this. The winger, wing back overlapping, winger a little more inside, 10 here, 6 in the middle, wing back here, side forward here. Now, this is kind of like the attacking shape here is a little bit like this. It's kind of interesting looking 2-3-4-1 kind of thing. Now, if we have this ball on the left side here, the deep link playmaker, we're hoping, once he gets that in this spot here, plays it back out to the wing back who's going to carry it forwards. The wing back's going to have given it off to the inside forward earlier on, because this wingback's job is to kind of get up here and stop, and then he deep crosses if he needs to, but mainly play it short into the inside forward. Who I'm hoping, again, we have the option for boom, boom to get wall passes in, or sits up here. It's kind of on this channel here where we have these guys coming into the box as backside runners. This guy is then isolated. He's got room to run, room to work into, and drives forwards and tries to find a finish on his own. And that's what I'm looking forward with him, is he's going to be aggressive, try to get forwards here, and if he can't get something, he crosses into one of these two. And that's what I want a lot more of him. The winger's job, combine a lot more with the wing back and get something out of it for crosses. This guy's job, be isolated and do it yourself. So that's kind of the idea when we attack. Now, as you can kind of see already, there's a care for defensive structure set up already. The point is that if when our players in these positions here, so our inside forward or our winger or our 10 or even our wing back, get the ball, any of these four positions, and they lose the ball. We'll say a defender here has taken the ball and he's got it now. What I want is I want to have players in the positions able to counter press. So if he wins it off this guy here, our left back can counter press right away. If he wins it off our 10 here, 6 can counter press right away. If they win it off our 9 here, say defender wins it off 10, counter press right away. If they win it off 7, our right back or our defensive midfielder can counter press right away. If they win it off our right back, our winger, or our defensive midfielder can counter press right away. So that's kind of things I'm looking for, is those guys being able to counter press. Now, the big concern obviously is if they're able to bypass that first line, these guys are somewhat exposed, which is kind of where I'm hoping our super keeper comes into play, as they'll look to pass through or dribble, where these guys' then job is to hold up play and allow all our bodies to come back and help defend. But in the end, that's kind of what we're looking for in terms of attacking and other things like that, to then get the ball forwards into an attacking area, look for those kind of avenues to attack through, and then look for those players to cut back or not. Again, also we have a pressing forward, so he does a lot of aggressive work, disrupts play, doesn't allow them to play with the ball, and then looks to get it, play it wide, and then we attack and get it back to him in the box. And that's really, in the end, what I'm looking for with this tactic. Not too crazy, just kind of a simple in that sense, they're looking to do those things. But with how that's gone, we're now going to go look at the teams, how they've done, and some of the things of what they did throughout the season. Hello everyone, it's me again. Well, you can see me again. You didn't just hear me as the godly voice speaking as I was controlling tactics. But yes, we are back, and we are looking at Almería first. So, as we saw, expectations, 19th. We finished in 12th with the side, which is always good to see. Now, the XG table itself sits us in 11th place, so slightly better. But, again, well done. Happy with that. We were supposed to finish all the way down there, but we achieved a much higher points tally and a much higher finish, which is lovely to see. And as you guys can see from the beginning where we got a B minus, so they're very happy to see how that went. Now, if we look at the overview of the way the team did, so we were the second worst defensively. We had the 8th, 34 cards, 1 red card, and the 8th most goals scored. So, interesting numbers, not the most amazing, but it's done alright, and I'm happy with how that's gone. Now, if we look at our squad and we look at our kind of key players, our highest goal scorer was Suarez, who was the striker for the system. He got 14 goals. Our next best player in terms of goals is the right winger, and Barba, who picked up 11, and the left winger, Ramazani, who got 10. In terms of assists, very similar story. Arribas, who primarily played all across the midfield, plays the deep line playmaker, attacking midfielder, and on the right wing, got a varied amount of assists, as well as our backup left back got 5 assists on top of that. Then our wingers got the assists, as well as some of our wingbacks there. So definitely not as prolific, but as you can see, the assists are spread around a bit, while the goals are primarily scored by those front 3 players, which is kind of the goal of it anyways, and Robertone getting a good mix as well from the 10. But these 3 are kind of the ones that we're going to look to be scoring the goals, especially as I showed you guys that the striker we're looking to get those crosses into, and the second person to cross to would be those other guys there. Now, this is how the team lined up. As you guys can see here, this is how the system worked. Some of the instructions, we'll go through that later on. But I mean, as you guys can see, it didn't always work out well for these guys. But that's kind of what we saw there. Nothing really that amazing in the 4th round of the Cup. But yeah, it worked pretty well for them. I'm happy to see. It definitely, I would say, wasn't the most amazing at times. They had these really good stretches where they could beat some good teams. They beat Sevilla, drew Madrid, drew Real, I should say, which is great. But they also got hammered by Barca as well as Celta. Getafe they lost to, but they managed to beat Girona and Valencia. I mean, they beat some teams in the Cup that are pretty poor, but then they lost to Cadiz. So you can see, for them, it was a little inconsistent, but they went on some good runs. Like, when they were winning games, but they also were getting beat up at times by some other teams. So, definitely an interesting one for them. It's a bit of mixed results, but overall, in the end, I think it overachieved what was expected. Safety achieved, got 12th, and I'm happy with that result for them. I mean, in the end, it's done what it's needed to, and it's done all right. So, I'd say it definitely doesn't particularly look like a lower-level tactic as of right now, but you know what? It's done pretty well. Now, in terms of Montpellier, this is where I'm really, really excited to see how this has worked, because this is really good potential here. A 4th place finish for the team, who was actually in 5th was around the top of the table for little chunks of the season here. And as it went on, they slowly dropped down a little bit here and there, but you know what? To me, it's a really good side. It really shows how tight it was, and they, with the exception of some losses towards the end of the season, especially against some lower-level sides, they could easily be making it into the much higher up in the table, which is nice to see. So you can really see they did very, very well there. Now, Montpellier were expected to finish 10th. Sorry, I should say they were expected to finish 10th and managed to finish 4th, which is great. And really could have finished much higher, too. On top of that, the players with the most goals was Teji Savanier, who had 21 from the 10. So slightly different for the team there, but still just as big of a return. He only had 3 assists. Then the other next players to do it were the striker and the left mid, which are a lot more make a lot more sense to me, is the inside forward and the pressing forward there. But Teji with the most goals, which is very impressive to see, but shows you the quality of having a really good 10 in this system, how much you can get out of them. Now, for assists, our deep lying playmaker and our left mid got the most assists on this team with 11 apiece, which again shows you that winger getting down the line, cutting the ball across. I'm assuming also Chotard has an inflated amount thanks to the amount of goals that Teji has scored, which I'm going to assume or a lot from distance or further away, since he is a player that tends to take a lot of shots, and in the tactic that player is encouraged to do so. So it's good to see there. Definitely nice. They were knocked out in the 9th round, which I think is quite far in. No, it's not. Never mind. That's not very far in. But no, I'm very happy with that. I think really well done, and you can really see the impact. So I think it's definitely a tactic. If your team's a little better, it really makes a big difference for these guys. Now, if we look at how they did, they went on an amazing run in the beginning of the season here. Did lose to PSG, but played very, very well. And continue to do things. They only lost 1-0 to PSG here. Obviously, the loss late in the season, but smashed Reims really well. Smashed Lille 4-0, 5-0, 5-0. They really had some big wins, 5-3 as well. So you can see they definitely got into the goals a bit as well. This is... We'll fix this up. Where is it? And we can see here, 6th best defense, 2nd best goal scored. So it definitely maybe the defense might be the best, but you know what? The goal scoring is really big, and they get a lot of goals from it. So really, really high scoring tactic. Seems to be, if you are a bit more mid-table, it's really good, and it works very, very well for you. So this might be more of a mid-level tactic, but let's see the best team that we had in this and see how they did. And it ends in a Serie A title for AC Milan. So lovely from them. Really shows you the impact it's made. Let's quickly take a look at the team stats as well as the player stats. So as you guys can see, 2nd best attack, best defense. So if you get a better level team, you really can score a lot of goals, and you can have an amazing defense with this tactic. Now, obviously, higher line players work much better, so there is that as well. But it really shows you that the better the team is, the better they will be with this tactic as well. Especially since Milan were expected to finish 3rd, and we got 1st place. So definitely a one to keep an eye on in terms of that. I think it's probably a mid-table to upper-table tactic, as I'd say right now with the team. We'll take a look at some of these other things here. Now, if you look at most goal scorers, we had Olivier Giroud with the most goals. So he had 31 goals from the 9 position. We had Liao finishing 2nd in the goals, who was the left mid. With that inside forward role, that makes a lot of sense. And then we also had the 10 for these guys, getting a lot of goals as well, which shows you that 10, if they are good at scoring, they can make a massive difference and really get you a boatload of goals. Now, in terms of assists, Teo got the most assists, which is interesting because I'd assume the player on the right would get a little more. But you know what? Calabria got 7, so still not too bad. But Teo got the most assists off the left, which is interesting, and we'll get into that shortly with the instructions of why that is. But it's really good to see because it shows the fullbacks are really making a big difference. Liao getting the next most, again, makes sense with all the crossing. 9 and 10 as well as the Piltlistic being up there as well. So as you guys can see, the players that are anticipated to do really, really well from those positions and get those goals and assists are getting those goals and assists. And we are doing exactly what I was hoping to see from the side. So I'm really happy with the results from these teams and what they did. Now, Milan made the quarterfinals. They won the league in a final game playoff, as well as lost in the Italian Cup final, which is really unfortunate, but shows you how good they really did throughout the season, and really just fantastic. They managed to top a group with Porto, Bayern, and Lens, which is very, very impressive. So that's really good to see. They managed to have a draw with Lens, beat Porto, beat Bayern at one point. They did lose to Bayern on the away leg, beat Lens, and then beat Porto again. So very, very well done from the side. Did exceptionally well there. In the cup, we can see they moved on very swiftly, even Atlanta, and then unfortunately falling in the final hurdle after extra time. But as you can see, really, really powerful. I mean, fantastic start. Did really great. A few kind of difficult losses here and there, but overall, really, really well. They managed to beat Juventus 3-0, Atalanta 2-0, Napoli 3-0 at other points. Smashed Lecce, who are at the bottom. Smashed Frosinone, beat Roma. Cagliari 5-0, beat Inter 2-0. Cagliari again, Torino, Roma again, Juventus twice, Lazio again. Didn't beat Napoli. Didn't beat Napoli in the league. Where was the first time they played? Obviously beat Inter there. They drew Inter there. They beat Napoli this time. I mean, so as you can see, it worked against the big sides too. Some slip-ups against smaller teams, which I think is a bit of the concern with this tactic. It does appear, but some really, really big wins, some really, really good ones for these guys, and I'd say it works really well. So I think it's one of those tactics. The better your team is, the easier it is for them to work with. But I think it's a mid-table to upper mid-table tactic that really focuses on those attributes there. So in terms of the team, we'll clear the positions for you guys, and we will take a look at the instructions. So it is a 4-2-3-1 custom slate template for you guys. So super keeper rolls pass shorter and ease off tackles. We don't want him being too aggressive. So they'll pick their moments to come and be a little more off his line as we allow the guys in front to defend. So your right back is going to have crosses aimed to center, dribble more, run with the ball wide and stay wider, which will give us that width and those better passing lanes. Ball playing defenders, job is none, no instructions on him. Central defender on the left side, none for him as well. Your left back is going to be cross from deep, aim crosses at center, run wide with ball and stay wider. As I said, we want these guys to get wide, push that width, really give us that attacking width to make a big difference in. Ball winning midfielder, no instructions on him. Your deep lying playmaker, no instructions on him either. Your right winger, though, only instruction is cut inside with ball. Your attacking midfielder is dribble more, shoot more often, and move into channels where he can then be that helpful support for that left or right winger when we are attacking, and find those spots in between the attacking defending team to really be able to find those passes and offer some good passing lanes. Now, your attacking midfielder on the left is sit more narrow, shoot more often, sit narrower, and tackle harder, so he's a little more aggressive after the play. And your pressing forward is just to shoot more often, so when he's in the box, he wins it, fires right away, and we can go and attack much more quickly since we are going to play with a higher tempo. Now, in possession, we'll start with there. We are a fairly narrow side. We play out of defense, overlap on the right. We do not adjust passing at all, and then we play with a higher tempo as well. We have low crosses where we look to work the ball into the box. On top of that, in transition, we look to counter press. We look to counter. We don't bother the pace, but we look to roll it out to the right center back. So to get here, since not everyone knows, normally you have distribute to area / player. You want to click this, go to distribute to position, and then click on that player on the right, and you'll be selected with that player to display out to. In terms of out of possession, we play with a high press line of engagement, a higher defensive line, much more often trigger press, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and step up more. We really want to push that on them. We really want to be aggressive. We don't want to allow them out. We really want to contain them and trap them in. So remember when I talked about the counter-pressing opportunities, that once we win the ball, there is someone here, this person can counter-press this person can counter-press this person can counter-press this. That's what we want to encourage by having step up more, making sure that there was always someone they have to be getting by to continue, meaning they can be slowed down, they can be fouled, or they can just be tackled, and we can win the ball right back and counter again. And we also are going to be on a more positive attacking mentality. So that is our tactic. I hope you guys are interested in it and excited. You can be sure to download this from the link in the description below, or I will also be linked in the Steam page where I'll have some pictures for you guys. So final thoughts on the tactic. I think it works really well. I'm really happy with the results. I'm really happy with what I saw from it. I think there's a lot of really good stuff in it. I think you can also see that it's definitely one for some better teams. You're going to need to really bring in some possession-based players, hard-working, high work rate players. I think are going to be really, really important for this team. I think it really does show the importance of having a team that has the fitness in the back line, the pace to deal with things, as well as a few players that really suit it. If you have a good player that's got good aggression, anticipation up top, if you have a 10 that can really shoot from distance, has great positioning, if you have a left winger that's really great being an attacker, maybe someone that's been converted from a striker to a left winger, or someone that can play either role will be suited that role very, very well. A more dynamic winger with pace, dribbling ability, and can really find those passing lanes and a very attacking, very direct right back is probably the one you want to look for. So definitely those roles are key, and I think if you get that right mix, it's going to be a really deadly tactic for you to have, and I'd really suggest trying it, especially with many teams. Now, speaking of that, with many teams, we have our next video on them with our rebuild of Sampdoria coming out this weekend, where you'll see this tactic used for all 5 seasons, and this will be a running trend for all our tactic and rebuild videos, where they'll all be using the tactic speed test. But I hope you guys are excited for that, as you'll like to see this tested really to the max, and you can see the team we've built, how things have gone, and the results of using such a fantastic tactic. Now, if you guys want to check out more tactic videos, there are going to be some linked to the end of this video. If you guys want to check out our rebuilds, that'll also be linked to the end of this video, where you can see all of those things coming out. But if you guys want to see some actual saves, we have those going on the channel as well. Be sure to go and check those out. But finally, as you guys are all going to want to know again, to download the tactic, you can go to the link below, which will take you to the Steam store, or you can go down below and click the MediaFire link, which will have just the direct link to the tactic. Now, if you want to go to the store, there'll be some pictures, a little more info about the tactic itself. But if you guys just want the tactic, no questions asked, well, we don't care. You can just go down there, click the MediaFire link, and it will have that for you guys. Well, once again, thank you everyone. I hope you guys did enjoy, did learn something, and if you want to be sure to find more tactics, hit that notification bell, and you will be notified when those are out. Thank you for watching, and I'm sure to catch you guys in the next one.
The use of marijuana